Welcome back everyone to the JÉVON room. I'm your host for today, Bradley Salut. Today we're going to be discussing gay dating, chocolate and vanilla swirl. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. First question to you both, we're just gonna go straight in. Have you guys ever dated someone outside of your race? And if you have, how was that experience or relationship?
I have indeed.
He's annoying.
Does anybody want to start off the conversation?
Go ahead, Archie.
You lot are fucking dickhead. Yes, I mean dated lots of people, pretty much everyone, other than
Jesus.
Other than I think white people. I've never dated a white guy properly, possibly.
Why did you say that?
No, nothing wrong with it.
It's just the way it just came out of your mouth. Was just.
But like seriously, in terms of like my two serious relationships were both with Filipino guys.
Oh. Should we break that down?
Should we?
I feel like this is a space for us to talk openly, right? And I think people might have just alarm bells ringing if they hear the only two people you have been in a relationship,
A serious relationship.
with, are both Filipino.
Yeah.
Tell us, how
What drew you to them?
how were the experiences?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
No shade to Filipinos, that's not the shade, but
Yeah,
it's more so.
Out of all of the East Asians, like Southeast Asians, I feel like Filipinos have a culture that aligns them most with Africans.
Oh, you did that.
I
was scared.
I love where
you did that.
that.
Where you going? Oh, okay, we're back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like there's lots of cultural elements which I think are great. Like I love the food and I think they love our food. The first one, I don't know how that happened, to be fair. It was just dating apps and it kind of we just clicked. The second one, I think I was definitely not as interested in dating Asians as I was before.
Why was you, just to clarify, less interested in dating Asians when you came to the second one?
In my head, I was kind of like, oh, I kind of want to but like I want to take seriously, like I want to find like a black guy.
I was just about to ask you,
what
what do you think stopped you in the past from pursuing a full-time relationship with a black man compared to the Filipino guys you've dated?
I think at the beginning, there was stuff that stopped me. I don't know, by the time I started dating seriously in like 2020, I think it wasn't a matter of like serious. It was just like nothing had ever happened. I was dating lots of different people and I just didn't click with anybody until this one guy.
That's fair.
But before that, I think where I was obviously from Brighton, a lot of the black guys that I would date would be from London. Like this just running joke of like, oh, you're white, you're this, you're that, because you're from Brighton kind of thing. I'm white! And I can deal with it to a certain extent. Obviously, like my friends all make those same jokes, so it's not that deep. But when it just gets to a point where it's just like, okay, you're dragging it now, like it's not attractive and it just becomes this thing where you see me in one way and I see, like you think I see you in another way and it's just like, it's too boxy for me. I don't like dating people who box me in when it comes to anything. Like, because I'm not going to box you in just because you super masculine or like, I don't know, anything doesn't mean I'm going to expect you to like fully be a top or fully be this or fully be that or like buy everything for me. So I don't like having those standards put on me because I don't want to put them on other people. So I think my experience was, and still kind of is sometimes with dating a lot of black guys, it was a lot of that. Whereas with non-blacks, it's kind of like, if you have those expectations of me, it's kind of like, I don't care because you're not black. Like, I don't care about what you have to say about blackness, do you know what I mean? And if you do start saying too much shit, then I can be like, all right, yeah, it's dead. Okay. It's kind of like, okay, I do kind of want to experience being in like a relationship with somebody who's like me, like maybe a Nigerian, like ideally a Nigerian, but maybe a Caribbean, maybe a Ghanaian, anybody.
Stay there with your Nigerian.
Instead of Ghanaian.
Thank you very much. It's all right, stay there.
Anyways, Mark, how about yourself?
I've had positive experiences and negative experiences. I've only had really two serious relationships in my life, though I've had many relationships.
He said emphasis on the many.
But the last relationship, and obviously this current relationship, have been the most serious. The last relationship, it was pretty good for the most part, but there were still some cultural clashes. And this person was half Guyanese, half white. So it wasn't like they were fully Caucasian, really. But they didn't know things about themselves and their own culture, which then led to them just saying things which were more white supremacist type of things. You know, we're having conversations with family and we're hearing, oh, it's not actually harder for black people to, you know, get in those higher senior positions and stuff. And then my mother's having to say, actually, it is. I'm in a higher position and it is. You know, those type of things are like, enjoyable. Yeah, and then I've just had other experiences with white men in the past, especially at uni that I was dating. The funny thing about the white men I dated is that they were all like, I didn't expect someone like you to like me, like your confidence. It's like a chase, and then when they got it, it was like, oh, actually, I've got it now. That's why I'm glad we dived into more, you know, when you was like, oh, I've experienced it now, because that's what it felt like. Like, oh, you've experienced the black guy now, so now you're all good. But then obviously I had to deal with those pieces after. We might have shared certain things, or I've been vulnerable in a certain way, sexually or non-sexually, but it was just so that you could experience, not even me as a person, but just like my race as such. So that wasn't particularly positive. So yeah, it's been a mix.
No one's gonna ask me about me, so I'm just
I was
gonna
about to
start.
say,
I mean, you ain't dating no
What? I'm dating what?
white man?
Yes.
White
I've
men?
been through this. Yes.
But you've not been in a relationship
Yeah,
with
so
a white man.
oh, dating.
from my
Okay.
experience, since no one asked me, I've dated different types of guys. I've dated white guys, I've dated Asian guys, I've dated obviously black guys, The two relationships that I've been in have been with black guys. And I feel like in the past, one of the differences that I noticed is when I dated a white guy, I didn't feel as safe in certain spaces in terms of like, would this person advocate for me or like check their friends for saying some left shit? Like I would just hear a couple of things and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? And it's like, I'm saying what the fuck is going on, but it's like, I seem to be the only one that's clocked, like that's the left thing to say. Whereas the people in the space and him in particular didn't necessarily see the issue. So for me, that was a bit weird. But outside of that, I have noticed a couple links in regards to a lot of guys just weren't finished with their ex. That's a running theme that it didn't matter the race. It seemed like a lot of guys just had unresolved shit with their ex that would just manifest itself somewhere else. So it's like on one end, I'm seeing the not so great parts of dating certain races with certain types of individuals. And then on another end, it doesn't even matter the race. I'm still seeing links into the way like guys move or think and behave. So that has been a thing. But yeah, that's been my experience. Another question to you guys.
Yeah.
Do you feel pressure to only date black guys or to stay within a particular race or demographic?
No.
Feel pressure, kind of, especially now being in a relationship with a black man, yes, kind of. It's a bit sad and unfortunate on some ends because it's like any depiction of black queer love is like, oh, you need to hold on to this because we don't really see this, we don't really get this. So sometimes I feel that there is a bit of pressure if you do go into a black queer relationship to stay in it or like make it work by any means. By all means necessary, you make it work.
And I think the way that the last, I think like 5 years have gone with like social media and stuff, people have become so much more obviously proud of their blackness, African and Caribbean heritage. There's becoming like a really negative stereotype attached to like black people in relationships with white people or black people in like interracial relationships where it's kind of like, no, you have to date black, and it's just like, in reality, sometimes people are just with people because they just love them and it works, and it's just like a marriage of two cultures. At the end of the day, if it works, it works. So I think a lot of people apply the pressure because they feel it themselves and they project it onto everybody else. They themselves don't feel like they can explore. They don't feel like they have the opportunity to find love outside of people being black, and so they project that same pressure onto everybody else. Like if everyone else like isn't doing it, then it's going to be a problem.
So next question to you guys, we're going to get a bit more sexual here. When it comes to like sexual freedom and sexual expression, have you guys felt more comfortable with black guys or more comfortable with people outside of your race, and why? So this is to explore like kinks, explore different like positions and just different things.
Yes. Yeah. I have had more freedom.
Oh,
In the past.
okay.
Yes. In the past.
Do you wanna...
I feel like it comes back to the
Masculinization
of black men sometimes, in terms of like,
Oh bro, you gotta touch my ass. So are you talking about freedom in regards to what you can do to their bodies or what?
yeah, but when it
yours?
comes to mine, there's no limits. Like they'll be willing to do whatever.
They're willing to do whatever to you, but then they also treat you in a certain way because of it, and they see you only in a certain way, and you can't step out of that because they've already boxed you in.
In some ways, they do these things because it makes them feel superior. Yeah. It makes them feel more like a man. But actually, whether I'm top, bottom, versatile, whatever, rotational, horizontal, I'm still a man. So it doesn't actually change anything. But if you're not giving me that respect, I'm just gonna reserve the pussy for someone that will give me that respect. And you can go twiddle with someone else's.
I'm with Mark. I've felt exactly the same thing in terms of like, you can't touch this, can't do that, I don't do this, I don't do that.
Is this more with black guys?
Yeah, with black guys, yeah. Yeah, with other guys, it's just been like, whatever.
On the other end of that, because you know that's black men, cool. Some black men, let's be clear.
I said
With
white,
like white men, they can be the complete other end of the spectrum. So they can actually be willing to do pretty much anything. Where it's like, that's a bit scary to me. Like the fact that you're saying do anything to me, punch me in my face, drop a microwave on my head, whatever you want. Like, what are your limits, and are you okay? Are you okay? Because I don't, you know, that's a bit scary to me. I don't know what you've been through.
Oh God.
You know?
Well, that's the thing, they ain't been through enough. That's why they have to find exciting ways outside of it.
There's different ends to it. You know, I personally would just prefer the black guy that don't want me to touch his booty over that. Because at least I can just be like, you know what, bro, it's not gonna work out, but I still love you, brother.
Like, you know what it is, but in a situation, it's
you know
like, you don't really know.
Yeah, so there's different levels to it, depending on the races.
Archie?
I don't know if I can top that.
Be honest. Do you feel as though you can be more, you've been able to be more free and explore more with black men?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
With who?
With non-black.
What did you say, nigga?
I mean, I'm not that like sexually adventurous anyway, but it's kind of like, you just wouldn't. I'm not.
Okay.
We're listening, though. We're listening.
We are listening. Whether we're taking it in, different question.
You know, I'm pretty vanilla, so it's kind of like, just because you're wearing vanilla does not mean you're even beyond the experience, even just the perception, which probably again is to do with ourselves and how we see people before they've even like shown us who they are, but like this preconception of black people that they might not be receptive to certain things, so we don't even ask and we don't even go through the experience. Because I've been surprised a lot of times with black guys as well. At times where I thought that they wouldn't be open to certain things, and they have been. So, but I think generally a lot of the time your gut feeling kind of is right, and they show you kind of like the things that you were afraid that they might show you anyway. So, but yeah, generally I'd say you could be more adventurous with like non-blacks than black guys.
But it's interesting because I feel like there's adventurous, but I feel like there's also like expression, or being able to express yourself.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, for me, it's just been the opposite. I feel like in terms of like expressing feelings, adventurous, of course, but then expression or expressing yourself. Yeah, for me, it's the opposite. That's crazy. Yeah. Look at that.
That's fair.
Next question to you guys. How do you guys feel about being pro-black, but dating outside of your race? And I guess more specifically, like dating a white person, because I guess that's where the two kind of cause issues. We have examples of like people in media like Jordan Peele and
Quinta Brunson.
Yeah, Quinta. Like, how do you feel about that?
Sigh. I don't even believe in pro-black as a concept. I think that you either advocate for equal rights of black people or you don't. But a lot of people that are pro-black, I personally have an issue with quite a few that were like, they will overlook actions of certain black people that are actually really bad, regardless of whether you're black, white, or whatever, you shouldn't do it. And it'll be like, oh, but you know, you're not pro-black because you're criticizing them for doing something wrong, or you're not letting it go. Or they'll be like, oh, why don't you talk about what the white people are doing? Because they also do this and stuff. And like, they're using that as an excuse for like poor behavior.
Doesn't make it right.
And it's like, two wrongs don't make a right. Do you get what I'm saying? I just don't truly believe in the concept of pro-black. The way that it's been utilized from what I've seen. Like, I wouldn't say I'm pro-black myself.
Man, what the fuck is you talking about? What the fuck was that?
I'm not like, every single thing that I do, I must think about how it can benefit like black people before anything, because I can't take on the world. Like I have things to do myself. Whilst that's what it sometimes feels like with this term pro-black, it's like you have to always be thinking about how you're affecting the community, how you're coming across. And like I've seen that in other cultures, Indian culture, Asian culture, where it's very much you need to put the community first before yourself and anything. And I'll never advocate for that. And that's what, from what I've seen, the term pro-black is facilitating and how people are utilising it. I don't think the term itself is dangerous or wrong, but the way it's being utilised and weaponised is a reason why is a reason why I'm just not, I wouldn't say I'm pro-black, because I don't fall in the same bracket as those people who are weaponising it.
Shit, I was about to argue and I had by the end of it I was like, oh, I ain't got nothing to say, child.
I'm with Mark. I feel like, I will say, like, objectively, I am pro-black. But I do recognise what Mark is saying in regards to, historically, people who have been pro-black or about black liberation have only been about black liberation for some and not all. And I feel like a lot of the time, like, black queer people are missed out of that conversation and will almost use as a figure as to why the community is at downfall. Like, we're bringing down the community rather than seeing all the amazing things we can contribute towards the community. I get your point and I hear you, but I think for mine, what is the main thing for me is like, what does you being pro-black mean? Does it mean being pro-black with requirements, or I have to perform in a certain way, I have to behave in a certain way? If that's what your pro-black means to you, then I don't want to be a part of that pro-black, because to me that's not true liberation for all.
I was gonna say, I was slightly, when you said you were not pro-black, I was a bit like, oh, okay, but then I started to deep what that would actually mean if you were to say it nowadays in like public. And one, it would carry a lot of responsibility in that, like, if you brand yourself as pro-black, or if you say that you're pro-black or whatever, suddenly people expect you to do certain things and not do certain things, and not say certain things and do say certain things. Also, it's kind of like, is it performative, and is it kind of like only benefiting a few? Like you said, like, is it kind of like you're saying you're pro-black, but really you mean you're pro-black for straight people? And
some people use it as a term to try and like cover up the fact that they're actually not doing shit. But like, I'm pro-black, but what have you actually done? What have you donated? How have you contributed? How have you helped the youth? How have you, helped to upskill other black people? What have you actually done for the community? So yeah, I don't really care if you're dating outside of your race, dating within your race.
All right, so last question to you guys. There's a lot of popular conversation online with people like, they need a dark-skinned woman, they need a dark-skinned man.
Vomit. Disgusted.
Blech.
Horrid.
Eat a dick, nigga.
Boo, boo, tomatoes.
Expand.
I just feel like...
Fetish.
Yeah, like, people can fetishize within their own community. Do you know what I mean? Like, why do you need a dark-skinned man, or why do you need a light-skinned man? And then what I don't like is that there's certain personalities and character traits associated with you depending on like your melanin or how light or dark you are.
So many expectations on you just because you're dark skinned, and it's like, well, if you get to know me as a person, you'll find out I'm not a lot of those things. And people don't want to put in the work to get to know you as a person, and they don't want to let go of all these fucking ideas that they have of how dark-skinned men should behave.
Obviously, like you guys have mentioned, it pigeonholes people into like particular behaviors. Like, you're dark skin, you have to do this, light skin, you have to do that. The other thing that's scary as well is like, last couple of years, like when we've grown up, dark-skinned people were heavily criticized or like subjected to a lot of like abuse in it. And for me, my thing is like, a lot of people raise kids that they didn't actually love. And a lot of people raise kids to make them hate themselves based off like the color of their skin, the texture of their hair, consequences of following this trend. Not only is it bad right now, you have to behave a certain way, but two, people are raising families off of these trends. And it's like, what type of kids are you gonna raise if you're not able to see true value in them, only follow a trend? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I feel.
And also, if you're around people that are also saying it, like, don't let them keep saying it, because more time a lot of these people are saying this shit because their friends or people they've dated in the past have just let it fly.
We have to be really conscious of the way we talk about ourselves, and then also where we have those conversations and who's able to see those conversations. Because people are having these conversations online, but it's not just Black Twitter that's watching this. White people watching this are thinking, oh yeah, like, that's you guys.
And I think a lot of you that do like look at things that way need to look a bit deeper within yourselves, because some of you might even look a bit cute on the outside, but inside you're rotten. So
you're rotten.
Anyways, all right, cool. Thank you guys for having this conversation. I really enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that observing it. Catch us on the next video on the JÉVON room, and please don't forget to
like,
comment,
and subscribe. Bye.
I'm a serious bitch, a rude and delirious bitch, a sick and imperious bitch, true inferior bitch, pimp my interior bitch. You wanna come and ride my stick? I was nice and thick.